Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Guthix Rest, episode number 6. It's been a while.
It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah. Maybe 2 or 3.
A few.
You're joined by myself, AGuyNamedSparre.
And me, Birdfacts. Hello.
And what were you saying?
I was just saying, it's been a couple weeks, maybe more than a few,
Yeah. But we have good reasons for that. We were away for a while, and then there wasn't too much going on with the game. Still not a lot going on right now, but
it's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, there's going to be some big updates coming shortly. We have Desert Treasure 2 on the way. We have the Forestry update.
I don't think the Forestry update's going to be that huge. Bounty Hunter also.
Bounty Hunter, yeah. That's coming pretty quickly, I think, right?
Yes.
That's the first of them?
Both. I think Bounty Hunter and Desert Treasure are very, very close. And then Forestry could be close. I think it was scheduled for like June or July, but we haven't heard anything about it lately. So,
I don't know. I'm just kind of waiting patiently for these updates. I'm hoping it's not like, 2021, where there was no game updates forever?
I don't remember.
But I burnt out of the game and then came back, and it was like 6 months later, and the only update was Tempros. So it was pretty bad. But yeah, now we're back. How's your 3 weeks been going?
It's been going great. We were out of the country for the first, and I guess the first of those weeks, because we didn't record last week because we were like, we still don't have enough to talk about, really.
Yeah.
So the first of those weeks we were in Canada. For those curious, we went to the Greater Toronto area for a wedding of a friend of ours. It was great. It was awesome.
Shout out to Tyler and Sia.
Yep. Congratulations on being weddinged. Very cool.
Yeah. It was so much fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. As to be expected, there were some hiccups in existing in a hotel with 3 other friends. But on large,
it was a little cramped.
On large, it was pretty fun. We did a lot of cool stuff, saw a lot of cool things. Hung out with some people.
Niagara Falls.
Yep, went to Niagara Falls. Went to Toronto. Saw all the kind of Toronto stuff. Went to a lot of parks and touristy things. All kinds of fun
beaches.
Stuff. I'll probably, for the video version that I eventually make, I'll probably flash up a couple pictures of the scenery. Not of us. You don't get to see my face.
No, that's
you could probably find
secret.
it if you tried, but I'm just not going to.
Yeah, I know
give
if
it to
you go
willingly.
back far enough on my Twitter, I have like pictures I took in like 2015 of myself.
Yeah,
I'm not
particularly
through years of my Twitter.
I'm not particularly concerned about people knowing what I look like. It's just not something that I like giving out because I think I look like a stupid idiot. So
I just kind of don't really think it adds anything.
Yeah.
So
I'll probably show the picture I took of the seagull next to the Niagara Falls and be like, hey, look, that's me. He's a very handsome boy.
Yeah, Niagara was fun. We went to the only rainforest cafe in Canada.
What an amazing place.
Mm-hmm.
Truly incredible.
Yeah, it was very expensive for the food there.
At least it was actually somewhat good, though, At least we weren't paying a bunch
I was actually kind of surprised how good it was. Yeah. But we also met up with some of our friends up there. Met up with someone from Petscape. Shout out to Quests if you're listening. Great time. Good bar that we went to. Or I guess not bar, just
burger
restaurant. Yeah.
Hamburger.
And then we also met up with my friend Vodka. And no, I'm not just an alcoholic. That's just their username. Shout out to Vodka. I know you said you've been listening to the podcast and got back into RuneScape because of that, so that's awesome.
Hey, well, you might not be an alcoholic hanging out with vodka, but I know a certain someone that was.
Yeah. Our buddy got very drunk at the wedding. Oh my lord! Stumbled into a Denny's at 2 a.m. and proceeded to throw it all back up.
Yep.
What a time!
To clean that off the floor of our hotel room. That was awesome.
Yeah. Good times. Good times.
I didn't have to pay for it, I guess.
But now that we're back in the States, what have you been up to the last 2 weeks?
The land of miles and gallons.
Oh, in feet, in Fahrenheit.
You would mention feet.
God. What is that supposed to mean?
Anyways, I've been having a great time here in the wonderful United States of America. It's been really hot the last couple of days.
Oh my god, it hit 92 degrees.
Yeah.
We're in Washington. It doesn't get that hot normally.
Yeah, it's been not super great. But it's been really nice. Like, it's been sunny. I went and I did a couple things. Yesterday was really nice, and the day before were not too bad. They were like, it was like 70s. So, it was kind of nice. Wasn't terrifyingly hot.
Did you hear that?
No.
Someone just screamed outside my window.
Oh, that was me. I teleported over to your house and just screamed outside your window. I really hoped it was picking up on the mic, I guess, but unfortunately,
I hope so. Yeah,
yeah. Maybe it was just a Discord noise cancellation. Maybe in the podcast, people will actually be able to hear it. Get the audio enhancement. Enhance. Let's see. If
I'll see if I can get that on the actual podcast.
Anyways, I'm gonna let you go first. How's Maxon going?
Okay, so I have started a different grind. So in my off time, I've been fishing more. I fished like another 3,000 sharks or whatever since I've gotten back. Still no big shark. Sometime during this episode, I'm gonna hit 96. I'm only 15k XP away, so cool.
Dang, your fishing level's lower than Carter's.
Is this higher than mine?
He just hit 96 at 12:53.
That's fucked up. Yeah, no, I'm about to hit 96, just AFKing for Big Shark, but I've been working towards my 350 completion for the Masoryu crafting kit. And that's the backpack recolor.
Yes. I will refrain from commenting, having been watching the Planks channel in Pets.
Okay, no. Listen. I've had a lot of deathless runs lately. It's just other people haven't.
Oh, dude, I think it was, I want to say it was you and Griggsy or someone, but I saw that you guys died at P3 Wardens, and I just commented, nice skip.
Yeah, so
I was being needlessly toxic, and I'm only a little sorry.
I don't remember why we died there. There was a very good reason we both died.
Sure.
I know why. We were trying to skip on the third skull for some reason. We both were like, yeah, we know how to skull skip. And then neither of us wanted to say we should only do the first two, because after the first two, you had to also dodge boulders. And, we just ran with it and we both died to it. That wouldn't have been the deathless anyways. Because I died... Wait, no, would that have been the deathless? Oh, that would have been deathless.
Damn. Skipping sounds very worth it.
No, that was a 250. That was a 250. I had a run today, though, where one guy, we were doing a 4-man 350, one guy died at Kefri 4 attacks before Kefri died.
Skill issue.
And I love you, Roz, but it was so much pain when we got to the end of the raid. I'm like, it could have been my kit. But,
have you considered, just not dying and having everybody else not die?
True. We had a really good run earlier. It was me and I want to say it was Goose, but I could be wrong. We were doing a 350 and we get to the choice between Akka and Zabak last, and we've run into Akka and then realized Zabak was on level 3. So we get to Zabak and he's level 4 now, and I just absolutely eat shit to it.
Yeah, level 4 Zabak's not great.
With all invos on is pretty rough.
Oh yeah, I mean, really the only info that does anything in my opinion still is Upset Stomach. All the other ones are free.
Yeah,
so
I died because waves came out and I got trapped with a single square that I could stand on without having to run through 2 or 3 tiles of acid to get out. And I got out, was at like 50 HP because I had to run through acid. And then I tried to wave skip with like basically no room to do so. And then I just died. And I was like, yep. That's expected. I had to walk onto acid and yeah. I can wave skip. I just can't wave skip back to back to back, which is what I would have needed to do from where I was standing, and I just couldn't do it.
I'll admit, there was a couple days ago, I just went into some TOAs without like anything basically, and I did some Akka butterfly practice, and I just also sat and did some wave skipping, just like not attacking Zabak at all, just waiting for waves and just skipping them.
I sort of know how to butterfly now. I can 4-tick butterfly.
4-tick and 5-tick. Well, are you doing 4-tick butterfly with the 5-tick pattern or
no 4-tick pattern?
I don't like 4-tick pattern.
I think it's easier.
I don't like it.
But yeah, it's fair.
4-tick. I mean, 5-tick pattern is literally 4 clicks. Well, 6 clicks with the attacks. So
I can also kind of red X now. I can't. I have a hard time getting it set up.
Oh yeah, that's something.
Once I'm
I need
in
to practice as well.
It's not too bad. Sometimes I run out onto the side of him though, and I think I just need to do it more in the center of her. Sorry. Sometimes I need to do it in the center of Baba. I think that's the problem I'm having. I'm not totally sure.
I don't know exactly how it works, so.
But yeah, no, it's been fun. I've been improving pretty quickly. I think I should have the kit by like next week. If not, make fun of me.
We will see.
It's just a matter of time. They kept like emphasizing, "Hey, this is Sparry's kit. We need to not die, guys." And I was like, "It's not that big of a deal. I'll get it when I get it."
See, that's your problem. You're like, "Oh, don't worry about it, guys. It's okay if you die. I'll get it eventually." That's why they're just dying on purpose. They're throwing. They don't want you to get the kit.
They were telling me that they were trying to get someone else their kit a while back, and it was just absolutely cursed. They weren't able to do it for the longest time. They just kept dying to dumb stuff. I hope that doesn't end up being me, but we'll see. I'm having fun with TOA. And once I get that shadow split, I'll be able to afford all my cool items that I want.
Copium.
Yeah, I know. I've been doing like some fletching XP just kind of every once in a while. But I still have like a few viables to do. I have herblore, smithing, cooking makes you money, so that's not too big of a deal, but I have construction, which is a huge money sink. And prayer.
Yeah,
most of the skills I have left are kind of just viables.
You should train prayer right now. I hear it's really a great time.
It's so expensive right now. Herblore though is really cheap right now. So I think that'll be my next like viable that I do.
The worst part about prayer right now is, I don't know if it still is because it's been like a couple weeks since they've really talked about Desert Treasure. But back when the beta had like first ended, if you went to Chaos Altar, you'd basically always find someone. There'd always be PKs. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah,
even at like
very
3 a.m.
did not want to do anything out there because of that.
I went and did some prayer training because I had received my arcane, and I needed 2 prayer levels, and I was like, whatever. And thankfully, they always caught me when I was done with like my whole inventory. I was like almost done, so it didn't matter at all, and I just die quicker. And I was like, thanks guys, thanks for the free trip to Lumbridge. But yeah, it was crazy how often they showed up.
Yeah, I mean, players tend to follow whatever trend is going on at the time, so, oh boy, new prayers coming out. Well, I need, the prayer levels to be able to use them, so I'm gonna do it right away instead of just waiting.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
But now it's time to talk about me.
Yeah, how's your 2 weeks?
I'm a tobber now.
You're a tobber now?
I did one tob, Casey.
Mm.
One of the guys in Petscape, Archelon, was bullying me into doing one late night.
Yeah, I got bullied into joining you guys for
you did the entry mode. So
yeah, for the entry mode, and then he tried bullying me into joining for the actual KC, and I said no, and I left.
Yes, that is true. That is what happened. But I didn't leave. I gave into the bullying because I wanted to learn it, and I'll have you know, I went deathless.
Oh,
and
nice.
As far as I can tell, I didn't throw and grief. I don't think I did. Obviously, there were a lot of places where I could have improved and done more DPS and taken less damage. But as far as I could tell, I didn't grief my team, and I didn't die. So, mission accomplished, in my opinion. It was pretty fun. I understand why people like that raid. There's a lot going on. There was a lot of things I could have improved on. Lots to learn, but it was interesting. It was cool.
My understanding of why people like that raid so much is there's just so much going on that you can make like small little improvements on.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to the mechanics.
Yeah, you never truly mastered the raid. There's always something you can do to improve.
Yeah, especially if you for example, a lot of people will use a 4-tick weapon for a long time, and then you'll switch to Scythe because it's way better DPS. And now so many of your strategies have to change because you're using Scythe.
Yeah.
So, lots of interesting stuff.
I know, Nyla Room has a bunch of minor optimizations, and there's just a whole bunch of little things you can do to speed up and improve the raid.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I need to get before I go back there comfortably. Obviously, I want a hammer, and I think I'd probably want a blowpipe and maybe Serp, because I know there's the big purple tick in P2 Verzik that you have to poison, so it's good to have guaranteed poison, I think, is useful there. I'm not 100% sure how exactly that works, but I was told Serp is good, so...
I think poisoning it kills it?
Yes.
So
it's the only method of killing it. I don't think it kills it instantly. Maybe it does. I don't remember, but I know you have to poison it. So, but yeah, it was interesting. It's great inspiration to go do some other stuff. Obviously, I've just kind of been various account grinding. A lot of my past couple of days have been at Zulrah, and Zulrah, while I don't mind the boss, is currently making me want to end my own life. It's great. It's awesome.
I think Zulrah is stinky and unfun. It only becomes more fun when you have really good gear to do it.
Well, here's
the thing. Because as soon as you get...
I have both.
Mm-hmm. That's true. You have good gear for it. But when you're a new account trying to do Zulrah, back in the day, what people used to do, you'd rock up with your, MSB and your Ivan's Blast.
Yeah, I completely avoided that part of the game. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Just not
I did that when I was a noob. I think I had a Trident at that point, but, I was newbie and had terrible stats, and rocked up to Zulrah for my 1KC for the diary, and just ate shit, because the fight goes on so long because you have no idea what you're doing, that she just gets to do a new entire set of phases, and from there you're just riding blind, hoping you don't take a 50 or 60 to the face during
only 50 or 60? That's weak shit.
Phase. True.
I think Zulrah max hit is 41 or 43, and they can just kind of decide, hey, I'm gonna max hit you 3 times in a row during mage phase. It's always fun when that happens.
Yeah. And then also get slapped by a snakeling.
Yep, it's great.
Yeah.
At least on a main, you can actually pot anti-venom. I haven't been doing that, so... I get the wonderful addition of venom damage, which, if you're smart about it, I usually cap it at 8. I wait till it deals 8 damage to me, and then I reduce it back to poison. And then if you get revenomed, it goes down to 6. So,
that sounds awful.
Yeah, it's not great, but I don't really care. I only ever really died on like the first day I was getting back into it. Beyond that, I pretty much have not died at the boss. I have died a couple times because I'll like finish a kill and then I'll like sit in my POH without actually sipping the pool, and I'll just die to venom in my POH.
I've seen that a few times and just kind of put question marks in my head, but didn't actually type them out.
I usually just go to my POH, and then I was watching like Coops and Archelon and Snoop do chambers, and so I'd like go to my POH and I'd just like look over at my second monitor and be like, chambers. And then I'd look back and I'd be outside my house and I'd be like, oh, I died. Interesting. But doesn't matter if you die in your POH, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got sick of Zulrah at 420 KC, having not seen anything since my 23 KC Magic Fang, which was cool to get a thing at 23 KC, but is not cool to then go 400 KC without seeing anything.
What's the rate for something?
I think the chance to roll on the table is like 1 in 128 or 1 in 256. And so because you get two rolls every time you kill Zulrah, it's like on average roughly 1 in 128 to see a unique.
Yeah.
So, pretty awesome.
Gross.
But I was talking about it in Petscape, and there were a lot of people that showed their Zulrah logs, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm not alone at least.
I
there's
know
some
a
pretty
lot of
stinky
irons
logs
that have just felt absolute pain at Zulrah because they just haven't gotten anything.
Makes me
or they
very
just
upset.
Keep getting the wrong item.
We were looking back very far back into the Petscape chat, and I was looking back to when I was apparently doing Zulrah on my main. So I went to go look at my collection log on my main, and I have 190 KC on my main with 3 uniques, Magic Fang and 2 Tan's Fangs, which are blowpipes for those uninitiated.
That's rough.
So, pretty cool, pretty awesome. Admittedly, Zulrah is not the worst boss to go dry at, because the supplies that I'm getting are pretty good. Manta rays are pretty common. Antidote pluses are super annoying, not worth making on an iron.
Yeah.
So just getting a shit ton of those is nice. Lots of random BS seeds and stuff. So
you'll need all the scales.
Yeah,
for
scales
later,
obviously. So it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's just a little demoralizing to not see a unique. So then I got sick of that and went to Kraken yesterday and today, because I've been sitting on a Kraken task for a while. Just kind of casually pulled back-to-back jar into a pet.
Oh, nice. Grats.
Pretty cool. I already had a jar, so that's my second jar.
Well, grats on the pet.
Still don't have a tentacle.
Yeah, you got another pet recently, didn't you?
Did I? Have I already talked about that one?
No, you haven't.
Rift Guardian was the last one I got? I already talked about that.
Was it? I thought you got something else.
No. I don't think so. Unless I missed one.
Roll F.
Sparre's gone from the Discord call, but
Discord. My Discord crashed.
He probably crashed his Discord because he's really good. There we go. As I was saying.
Yeah, what's up? It's your boy. Crashing Discord. Yeah, I'm recording still.
Okay, good. As I was saying, unless I keep track of my achievements on my personal wiki page. I list all of them on a little table. And
it wasn't a pet. You hit a certain drop table somewhere.
Certain drop. I mean, I hit rare drop table and got a dragon spear from Zulrah.
No.
Oh, the mega rare table.
Clues.
Yeah, I got a gilded spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neat.
Also
I guess.
99.
Yeah, also 99 ranged. I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of free since I have Bofa and I just like shoot everything with Bofa. That was just bound to happen eventually. Still have the untrimmed Runecraft capes. Kind of a big deal. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Haven't been doing a whole lot beyond grinding Zulrah, occasionally other stuff. And then I recently went back to Kraken because it was my Slayer task and I just wanted to do Slayer. And now I have a Black Demons task, so I'm going to go check out the new Demonic Gorillas.
Hell yeah.
If we want to transition into talking about game updates, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, not really. Just, fishing. That's all I've been doing. Fishing and raids.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much else. I've done like a couple chambers, but...
Yeah, so, it's been a while, so we're going to start off at the very start, the point-based combat achievements.
This is actually a big deal, but it's just not much to talk about.
So, it matters for, like, our friends more than it matters for us. We're friends with a lot of, like, snowflake Iron Men. So they have, like...
disagree with this sentiment. I think it matters for everyone a lot.
Okay, well, it does matter, but, like, I don't know. It doesn't make a huge difference.
In my opinion, it makes a huge difference.
You'll have an easier time getting combat tiers, especially at the lower levels.
An incredibly easier time, because even at higher levels, because now if you're just, like, not going out of your way to get, like, specific boss combat achievements, like, when I wanted to get medium CAs so that I could not get Prayer Drain at Barrows, I had to go do every single easy combat achievement and every single medium. So I had to go grind keys for like Bryophyta and Obor. And I had to go do like these specific things at early game bosses. And it's like, I don't want to do this. This is boring, but I want the medium hilt. So in my opinion, it's kind of a big deal that you no longer have to go out of your way to do these small pain in the ass things unless you like really, really want as many points as possible if you're going for like, higher tiers. But now if you're just playing the game, you'll easily be able to get knocked through easy, medium, and maybe even hard.
Yeah, you'll still have to go and like do all of them to be able to do Grandmaster, but now like, you could potentially get elites without having to, do some of the bosses you might really dislike.
Yeah, like I think I was surprised to find that I already had easy and medium completely done. I was not expecting to have hard done when the changes came out, but I actually had hard done, and I'm like halfway to elite, which is kind of crazy.
Nice. Yeah, I'm basically in the same boat. Combat tasks. I'm like 3/4 of the way to elite now, so that's cool. And I've only done 64 of the elite tasks. So, that's nice.
I've done 45 elite tasks, 39 hards, 17 masters, and 2 grandmasters, so...
I have done 1 grandmaster.
Yeah, get fucked. Guess where both of my grandmasters are at?
CA?
Corrupt Gauntlet.
Sorry, I said CA, I meant CG.
Yes, sir.
Can you guess where mine is?
2A, I don't know.
No.
Next.
Vorkath. Kill him without losing any prayer.
I was expecting it to be that like free next combat achievement, whatever it is, where you just like grief everybody.
Oh god, dude. I despise that that's a task.
I don't even remember what it is, but I just remember that it exists.
Everyone has to be coughing at the end of the
up.
fight. And you cough at like the first or second phase. So you go through like 4 phases of just griefing everyone.
Incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, no, point-based combat achievements are pretty cool. You can go, just easily do at least up to hard. Elite, you have to work a little bit for it, but, now it's not as daunting of a task for people.
Yeah, I think the reward structure is a lot more encouraging, since you don't have to do every single thing in a tier, because it's very daunting to have to do every single hyper-specific thing in a tier in order to achieve it, and it made it a lot more geared towards people that were basically already just going to go for like Masters and Grandmasters, because everybody else can't really be bothered to do it, let's be honest. But now, since you don't have to do every hyper-specific thing, people are just going to play the game, do combat achievements, and then when they're at like a particular boss, they might go, oh, I wonder what kind of combat achievements are here, and they'll take a look and get some extra CA points. So it'll be awesome. It's great. Love it.
Very cool. moving on from that, we have your favorite item, the Abyssal Lantern.
Yeah, I have 4 of these now. This is old news. But I went I think just over double dry for one of these, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I still don't really understand why it was pulled to be buyable and then not made buyable
they just
until
changed
now.
It for no reason and didn't really talk about it.
The cost to buy it is so
absolutely not worth
high.
It. Completely not worth it.
That's as much as like the outfit.
Yeah, it's a pointless change in my opinion. It's just like we said we were gonna make it buyable and then we didn't. So here you go. Now it's buyable, and it's like, but why? Why even bother at this point?
It's only useful in the minigame too.
Yeah.
Like I could understand 1,500 pearls if it was like outside the minigame useful.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything.
Like you're better off just getting the Runecraft outfit because it's useful both in and out of the minigame.
Yeah.
Or like buying even the Ring of the Elements. Like
buy the Ring of the Elements, save up for the pet recolor for when you get the Rift Guardian eventually. I just don't understand.
Yeah, genuinely just kind of a pointless change in my opinion, but it doesn't hurt anyone unless you actually buy it, at which point it's your fault, not mine.
Yeah. An actually good change though. I don't do Chambers of Xeric, so if you want to explain
this change actually pops off. I'm still getting used to this. I did a couple raids recently. This is a Chambers of Xeric change. They made it so that there is, for those of you familiar or unfamiliar with the Chambers of Xeric, when you walk into the Chambers of Xeric, there's like a little starting room, and then you have to click on another entrance to actually start the raid. In this starting room, they have added a special chest. It is like green, differently colored, and you can use it as a bank. It's just a bank. Gone are the days of having to prepare for your raid outside of the raid. Instead, you can scout, and as soon as you find a good scout, there's a bank right there. You can stay in the raid, grab whatever salve, pickaxe, axe, crush weapon, whatever specific raid item you need for whatever specific rooms you've scouted. You can pre-pot right in the raid if you're a pre-pot enjoyer, and then you can just go right in. Alongside
it's pretty big for
that one's
people
huge.
That are doing solos.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's super, super nice.
Yeah, it's big for people that are doing solos because they don't have to have an ult anymore to hold the raid.
To hold raids.
Yeah. So you can just, scout solo and then send your, solo, Giga Gamer Chambers of Xeric raids.
Yep. It's pretty cool. Less cool change, but still cool. They made it so that there are 2, basically, functionally 1, but there are technically 2, extra storage chests in the raid itself. They are symmetrically placed right near the entrance to the old room. So basically, instead of having to wait or use your storage chest above the hole that leads you to the Olm room, you can instead do your overload pre-pot in the room because the storage chest is right there. That has also taken some getting used to because I have done literally years of chambers where you pre-pot in the room above. So that one's, in my opinion, not as big of a change, but maybe saves a couple of ticks. I have no idea. Kind of convenient. It's whatever. Cool change. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, cool. And that's all really from that update. There's a few minor things, but nothing too interesting going on there. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Sailing Refinement Survey and Stages Summary from the May 5th blog.
Yes, this one was interesting.
I didn't really read this.
Yeah, I was on our trip to Canada. I had briefly shown Sparry some of this. I read through it while we were at like a coffee shop or something. And I don't...
Good coffee, by the way. Also, I checked my bank account afterwards. It was like $3.50 for those coffees.
I don't know if that's good. I have no context.
Coffee is normally like $6 or $7 for me.
Oh, that's pretty good, I guess.
So, yeah, it was really good.
But yeah, this is basically just a it's exactly what it says it is. It's the survey results. They actually showed the results to a survey. For those of you that don't know, this is not the same thing as a poll. Sometimes they will put out a survey on the official Old School outlets, usually the blog and some other places. But if you read the weekly blog post, sometimes at the bottom they'll have a click here to take a survey. And basically it is just a method of gathering player opinion so that they can get a general idea of what people are thinking of certain things. In this case, what people are thinking of sailing. And it has some very interesting data because one of the questions is like, okay, what's your total level? And what kind of activities do you take part in? So they were able to sort some of the data by like what your total level is, which is mostly what they did. Interestingly, the largest skill total cohort was between 1800 and 2100. So a lot of people voting in the survey were in that kind of like mid-late game area of being 1800 to 2100. Because I think that is the core addressable player base.
Yeah, it's where it starts to take a lot longer to get XP and to level up, so you kind of get plateaued there. I think is why there's so many players in that bracket.
Yeah. I personally am of the opinion that I think that there are probably more players in the 1500 to 1800 bracket. But the 1801 to 2100 bracket is just where most of the core addressable player base is, and most of the people that actually read like blog posts and are interested in the game are.
Well, yeah, you can tell that because of the 45% of respondents played for over 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's like the players that are more into the game, your more hardcore player base.
But yeah, I'm kind of scrolling through here. I'm just trying to find anything that was particularly interesting. There were a couple of them that I remember were kind of stand out that I did.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, nearly half of all players want the sailing movement to be point and click.
Obviously.
With the next biggest being 27% wanting point and click and WASD.
Which makes no sense to me, in my opinion. Any form of WASD seems weird.
Yeah, and it wouldn't work on mobile.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but yeah. I mean, I thought of that recently, but when I was voting, mobile was not of my concern. I don't care.
I think I brought it up in Canada. Interestingly, they're asking like how important moving around your ship would be, and a lot of players didn't really seem to care.
I cared a lot. I thought it'd be sick.
I mean, I think it would be nice, but the player base,
the ship's like really big. It seems weird that you wouldn't be able to move around on like a big galleon. One of the interesting ones, I might have talked about this at another point. I seem to recall it might have just been us in conversation, but I remember when I was taking the survey, I was somewhat concerned with them asking multiple questions about Slayer tasks, specifically on islands, and like stuff like that. And I was like, I hope that doing Slayer is not a method to train sailing.
Yeah, I would like if there was an expansion.
Like, it's fine that I can go to an island and do Slayer tasks. Sure. But that should not be a method at which I train sailing.
Yeah, I'd like if there was like a sailing or a Slayer expansion via sailing, but I wouldn't want you to get sailing XP for participating in that.
Yeah. It's just like there's new Slayer monsters / bosses that are linked to sailing. That you unlock via sailing, rather. Like how you unlock dragon tasks by completing Dragon Slayer 1 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe like a Kraken variant or something out in the sea.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want you getting sailing XP if you killed that variant.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot of players really wanted, for like gameplay wise, for like the gameplay to be discovering islands and defeating bosses. So it just kind of sounds like they want dungeoneering as sailing.
Yeah, I remember
what I don't want.
I remember I was watching No Monkey stream while he was doing some CA speedrun Tecton chatting. And he was going completely delusional, admittedly. And he started playing RS3 Sea Shanty 2, and just started like screaming about how, not screaming, but just kind of like shouting about he's so excited for courier missions and all this like weird stuff that they were talking about, the like less interesting stuff. And I thought it was a gross mischaracterization of what they want about sailing. But
yeah,
he went on to talk about how he thought it would be very easy for them to just add it as sailing is just dungeoneering, and you just go to islands and you just do a dungeon, and that's just sailing. And I was like, then why don't they just add dungeoneering?
Yeah, he was on the Sabecast recently and was talking about how he just wanted sailing to be dungeoneering.
Just add dungeoneering to the game. I don't
want it as a skill, though.
I don't even care at this point. I would probably rather it be a minigame, but it's a popular piece of content for a reason. It was fun to do. Just add it to the game. It's like free.
Yeah.
It's free content.
It would be kind of cool if it was like a Slayer alternative or something. Like a way to get Slayer XP, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds a lot like, hey guys, let's add Chambers of Xeric tasks.
I'd be fine with it.
So would I, but it does seem weird.
Yeah, just, no Slayer Helm bonus.
Yeah, but No Monkey brought up a good point about that at some point, where people would probably complain that no Slayer Helm bonus at Chambers of Xeric task is inconsistent, and then eventually Jagex would probably cave and make it so it applied.
What would be inconsistent about it?
Name a Slayer task where Slayer Helmet doesn't apply.
I mean, true, but like you can't use the Slayer Helm to kill multiple different types of I guess fight caves in Inferno. But they're all Zar, so I'm gonna count that as fine. I don't know.
It'd be inconsistent. I mean, I kind of agree.
It would just be kind of insane to have the damage bonus from Slayer Helm in raids.
Yeah, and it's insane to have the damage bonus from Slayer Helm at fight caves and Inferno, and you can't use it on your first Inferno KC because it's that insane.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Anyways, anything else in this blog?
I don't know. I personally, if you're into, I don't think I have anything else specific to talk about here. But if you're into data visualization and you're interested in the way the community thinks about sailing, I think this one's a great read. I haven't read this in quite a few days, or quite a few weeks even, so I can't remember any like specific standouts. But like I said, if you're into RuneScape, if you're into sailing, if you're into data visualization, it's a very interesting read. The graphics are cool. It's very, very cool information. I wish they'd do more of these when they did surveys, because I'm very interested in it. So,
yeah, I think there's a lot that you can like dive into, and how they interpret that data is going to determine a lot of how sailing ends up being developed. I think
that's what I'm most interested in. Is what I want to know is I want to both see the data, and I want to see what their conclusion from that data is, because that's important to me as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
On to the next blog. We got the ground item indicators, loot tracking, and more from May 10th.
If you play on RuneLite, this is literally a nothing update.
Yep, this update, this will also apply to the next update as well. There's just a bunch of C++ updates. If you play on that client, which includes mobile or the Steam version, there's a bunch of different like changes that are nice to have. Loot tracker, ground items, that kind of stuff.
I do find it very amusing that the ground items overlay, the tiers for price and the color tiers are the exact same as default RuneLite. One for one. Very amusing to me. I understand why they're doing that, but it's a little funny. It's like, I wonder where they got these price brackets and colors from. Very interesting. Admittedly, I've long since changed the price brackets and colors myself, but doesn't stop it from being funny.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, this is a great change, especially for mobile, but also for people that may not be as into the RuneScape community and are just using the client that they're given by downloading the game from whatever regular source they have. it's helpful. It's good features. It's features that we all enjoy on RuneLite that now people can enjoy on the other client. And they also added a master volume slider, which is a regular feature in video games that exists now. Great job.
But it's not on the main client.
Nope.
Which is annoying.
It's very strange.
One thing before we move on to the next blog, in the picture for the ground item indicators where they show it off, the Necklace of Anguish is 28 mil for some reason.
Nice. In another picture, this guy has killed Cerberus 19 times and received 19 Cerb pets.
Oh, nice. Congrats to him.
Yeah, huge, absolutely huge.
That's funny.
Oh, he's also killed 1 goblin and 1 imp and received a champion scroll from both of them.
Yo, huge.
He's going insano mode.
All right. On to the next blog. Tithe Farm.
Tithe Farm. Do you not want to do the what we're working on one?
Oh, I missed that because it's a community thing. Sure, we can talk about this.
This is the calm before the storm that I was referencing at the beginning. This is where they actually talk about the shit that we care about. So it's not a whole lot going on here. Basically, they're like, hey guys, we sure are working on these updates that are on the way. They have demoed the Desert Treasure 2 bosses to a select few members of the community, including Thurko, Pure Spam, Guns Chili, and MMORPG. And there's also a quote from Mod Goblin in here. These are just like little quotes from some of the people they invited. And I like Mod Goblin's quote. Thanks, Mod Aiza, for buying me dinner during the playtest. Thank you for that, Mod Goblin. Very cool. But yeah, it seems like
really shows how the bosses were designed.
Yeah, it really helps to visualize how exciting these 4 new bosses are going to be.
But everyone else seems to be to talk about like how interesting and unique the mechanics are. So that's exciting.
Yeah. It's always possible that they could have cherry picked these quotes, you know. But I genuinely am pretty excited for these bosses. Muspa was very interesting and new. Had a lot of interesting mechanics. The spikes were cool. It's a fun boss to fight, in my opinion. So if they're anything like that, they should be pretty fun and interesting.
Yeah, smiting the boss is interesting.
Yep. Cool stuff going on there. And there's 4 of them this time. And they're supposed to be hard. So we'll see. Should be interesting. There was a survey here. I don't remember what they asked in this survey. I took this weeks ago. But I think this is more like Ruinous Powers stuff. They mentioned that, as we all know, they took down the Ruinous Prayers beta early because they were like, all right, clearly this needs some more work, which I absolutely agree with. There was some work that needed to be done. And I hope that the next iteration they have will be better because I think that they were definitely on the right track. I think that there were a lot of comments on Reddit that I didn't agree with. And I hope that they have latched on to the real feedback from the players that actually understand a decent bit about the health of PVM. And they make the right decisions here, make it interesting and useful and different. Yeah.
I thought that, once again, going back to No Monkey, our Lord and Savior, his thoughts that he had with on the Save cast were pretty good about the prayers, that they needed not just be a direct upgrade to the regular prayer book. They need to be an interesting choice that you have to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It shouldn't be, because he was talking about like at the Inferno you can't take it because triple Jads just absolutely shreds your HP. Yeah.
There's a video of someone doing 6 Jad challenge with it, and you just take like 7 damage every tick. Like, you're just getting destroyed.
Yeah, it needs to have interesting choices and drawbacks that isn't just, can I take it here? Yes, then you take it, you know?
Yeah. I think for the most part, No Monkey's opinions were pretty on point. He has a video about it where he went over the current status of the prayer book. the standout opinions that I agree/disagree with, he said that Ruinous Grace was worthless and seemed completely useless and should have been scrapped. I disagree with that. It has a lot of, I think because his perspective is very much just in like the high tier PVM stuff, he didn't see a use for it there and was like, it should be scrapped.
Yeah, he's not a skiller, mind you. Like, he's maxed, but he's not a skiller.
Yeah, I think outside of PVM, and even in some situations that you might not expect outside of even skilling, it will see some use, but I think its prayer drain is rough right now. And I think that was kind of the criticism on the entire prayer book. The prayer drain is rough right now.
Yeah, because using any of the vows is as much as a overhead, but...
And the vows were fucking bad, except for Fumis.
Well, so they range from, like, insane to just terrible.
Disagreed. I think Umbra's vow was, like, perfect. Exactly where it should be.
That was the defense reducing one? Yeah, that one was good.
That one was great. Fumis's vow was very good situationally. I think that one could have just been toned back a little bit. And they mentioned that they would make it so you couldn't pre-pot poison.
Yeah,
which is
so
scary.
The issue with that one,
because then you get to the point where, like, okay, if I step on like the poison that Olm spits onto the ground, how does it know?
It's no longer attached to him.
Is it going to know that it's from Olm? Because if it doesn't, I can't use it again to deal damage to Olm, and that sucks. So
you can't use it against Olm, you can't use it against the Bat Boss in
Zarpus.
Tob. Zarpus, thank you.
Yeah.
You can't use it against
if they
Vorkath on his poison tiles. Yeah. It has to be his poison breath.
If they are able to create a system where they can accurately tell, like, ground poison is from X source and poison is not given to you by you, which I think they can do. I don't think that's without the limitations in the engine. As long as they do that correctly, I think Fumis's vow will still be useful, but it's kind of a toss-up if they'll put in that effort, you know?
You wouldn't be able to use it at its back as well.
Yeah. So I think it has the chance of still being very useful.
They'd have to modify it.
But yeah, I think the idea is still very good, in my opinion, but it needs some work.
You know what wasn't a good idea? Glacey's vow. That one was
Glacey's
terrible.
And Kror's vow is also completely worthless. Those two were awful.
Just horrendous.
I completely agree with No Monkey when he said that Kror's vow is any kind of healing prayer is basically going to be completely worthless and never worth using ever, or insane and always worth using. There is no middle ground. That you will never find a middle ground.
It's the balancing is just too impossible.
Yeah, because I mean, look at Blood Fury, right? It was pretty worthless at launch, and they updated it, and now it's like pretty insane. Like, they managed to strike a good balance there because it is only melee that you can use it on. But where you can use it, it's pretty crazy.
And people only, bring a torture instead because sometimes you get to max it, not always, because it's only a +2.
Yeah. And
you don't want to use a billion charges every time you swing your scythe or whatever weapon you're using.
Yeah, so it's just rough. I think that Kror's vow is definitely the one that needs to be scrapped entirely and needs to be something different. I actually really liked in No Monkey's video, I might have already talked about this, but he kind of, I think him and another creator, I can't remember their name, they had the idea of basically, if you had it on, you could like hemorrhage a boss, kind of like Zabak does, where you take damage if you move. And so you could like stack up this kind of like bleed debuff, where if the boss moves, they'll take damage or something. I don't remember exactly how it worked. He explained it a lot better.
That sounds kind of insane against like bloat or something.
Yeah, exactly. It would be very situationally useful, right? But there would be some places where it's completely useless, and it would give it its niche, which I think would be very interesting. It would obviously take a great balancing act, but I think it'd be worth it. I think that would be a very interesting idea. I'd love to see that in a beta.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like, cooler ideas you can play around with that involve, blood and ice.
Yeah, Glacies needs to be something else entirely as well. It's just...
Yeah, because the DPS is like 0.2 DPS.
It's awful.
Yeah.
In a perfect world where it rolled against like magic accuracy, whatever.
Every time if you somehow always
if you always hit
which you
it.
don't. Yeah.
Because you have to roll against magic accuracy.
Its own accuracy check. Why?
Just so bad.
Why?
Incredibly bad. But yeah, I like I said, I think they have some great ideas here. They were going down the right path of these like nichely useful vows. They just need a little bit more refinement, and I think for me, I think if they just cut back on the prayer drain a little bit and then rework the vows a bit, I'd probably be fine with it releasing. I know a lot of people want the protection prayers changed, but I think that there are probably some more interesting ideas out there. I haven't heard them, but I wouldn't doubt the fact that there are probably some more interesting and better ideas. But I think the current iteration of the protection prayers is fine enough, and it's an interesting enough trade-off.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they come out with when they give us our next beta for the vows and stuff. Which I believe we're getting another round of testing for that.
Yeah, it should be in a couple weeks here.
At least I hope we do.
Yeah, no, I think they said it here. I can't find it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they said there will be another beta before the prayers actually release. 100% there will be. So,
okay, that's good to know. The other thing is bounty hunter stuff is they're working away on that. And they've showed off some screenshots, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the actual bounty hunter area looks neat.
Yeah, it's not just like dead, gray and red wilderness. They have like grassy areas and some cool looking stuff, so I'm excited to see how that looks.
I will never interact with this content, I'm gonna be honest.
I might. It seems kind of fun.
As a Iron Man that does not involve himself in PvP very much, the idea of doing real PvP where I lose stuff just completely does not interest me.
That's fair. I'd probably only do that on my peer, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll see.
I'm very excited for this content since I am a framed enjoyer. I'm sure he will probably make some videos, and they will probably be funny.
Yeah, the YouTube content's gonna go crazy.
As long as it's a good piece of content, which I can't particularly judge because I don't really understand PvP a whole ton. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun. I hope it's good.
Yep. And I think we should go to break now and then talk about the most recent update today and the skill blog that we got.
Yeah, sounds good.
And this week's podcast was brought to you by poutine. Something that we don't really have in the States, and I don't understand. Poutine is delicious. Find yours in your local Canadian stores.
This week's episode is also brought to you by the very Canadian funny money that you can buy poutine with. It's really funny. It is crazy how much cheaper stuff in Canada can be with the power of funny money.
So much cheaper. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a good break. I certainly did, because I now have 96 fishing. I almost said mining.
Wow.
That's long past me.
You lost 3 mining levels? That's crazy. I can't believe negative XP lamps passed.
God, I hope.
The joke is, they didn't.
I hope they don't keep trying negative XP lamps. It's been tried so many times.
It's so funny. I voted no every time, dude.
Yeah, it's just, I don't want it in the game.
Skill issue.
How many times do we have to tell you this, old man?
If you fucked up your peer, that's your fault. And if it wasn't your fault, fuck you.
Just like, I'm about to tell you about this update.
Wow, what's the update? What kind of epic things have happened this week in old school RuneScape? Actually, this week
Once again, actually this week came out literally today. We've moved our recording day to Wednesdays because it's a little more convenient for me. I'm no longer getting off of like an 8-hour shift of work and then absolutely dying for another 2.5 hours of recording.
Skill issue.
But a little bit of a skill issue. But we have Tithe Farm improvements now in the game.
Yeah!
So now, Tithe Farm is actually a good minigame.
Yeah, this is actually, like, cool. I'm glad this is in the game. I've done Tithe Farm a lot on all of my accounts. I have the Farmer's Outfit on two accounts. I have the Seed Box, Growler's Can, Herb Sack. I've got it all, man. I got Auto Weed. I've done a lot of Tithe Farm.
Is the Herb Sack... Can you only get the Herb Sack from Tithe Farm?
No, you can get it from Slayer Masters, but in my opinion, not worth the Slayer points. Because you can just get it from Tithe Farm instead.
I definitely have bought in something else from Tithe, because I have the Farmer's Hat, and I know I got something else. Maybe Auto Weed?
Maybe.
I don't know.
All these items are very useful. The Growler's Can, or Gricklers? Gricklers? I don't know how that's pronounced. Some farming term.
Gricklers?
I don't know. For those of you that actually grow tree seeds into saplings, it's a very useful item because it does not change its item ID when you rapidly click between a seedling and the can. So you can just spam watering seedlings, which is really nice. And it holds more than 8 charges, so you can water more than 8 seedlings at once. That's very cool. Seed Box, kind of cool for some Slayer tasks where things drop seeds, and same thing with Herb Sack, but Herb Sack, as we said, also comes from Slayer Masters.
Seed Box, also useful if you're thieving Master Farmers.
That is also true. I forgot about that, because I never thieve Master Farmers.
Yeah, if you do that, I don't think it's good money anymore. It used to be back when I, first started.
Back in the olden days when it wasn't botted as much, I think. I'm not sure. And then it was good money, and botters realized that, and they were like, wait, I can just make a bot that clicks on a guy.
Yeah, also, you have bosses now dropping all those seeds.
Yeah,
so.
Hello, Muspa. We're talking about you.
Yeah.
Autoweed also cool.
Autoweed's kind of nice.
Farmer's Hat's used in a clue step. Elite step.
If you are wondering if Tithe Farm is worth doing, go do it for the 75 points you need for the hat. Then you can decide after that.
It's actually
if you absolutely want to kill yourself, then you can just buy your hat and move on. But
it's actually
you might learn that you actually like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good farming XP if you want to actively gain levels in the skill for one reason or another. If you need a quest requirement, like when I was Song of the Elves rushing, I just wanted to get farming out of the way, so I just did some Tithe Farm and I just got the levels. It's nice that it's an option. And then you also get these rewards. And notably, they have added some new rewards. They have updated the what are these blessings called? Beloga's blessings.
Beloga's. Yeah.
These are used to make grapes of Zamorak, which can be used to make wines of Zamorak. So you get more of them now. And I think a while ago they made it so that it's there's a
I think
lower...
the last episode we recorded.
Yeah, there's a lesser fail rate on making wines of Zamorak. So this is actually maybe a good way of getting wines of Zamorak now. I might actually go try that because I have a lot of Dwarfweed potions, and not nearly as many.
The current meta is just to go kill KQ or something.
Yeah, that's where all mine have come from. So I might go try this out. I'll go see how it is because I don't really mind the Tithe Farm gameplay loop, and I have 98 farming, so maybe I just smash out 99.
Yeah, it's probably worth doing now.
You can also buy herb sacks or herb boxes.
Yeah, herb boxes. The only way for Iron Man to get them now is via this.
Wow, very epic. Probably not worth it. I might buy one and just see what it gives me, but I doubt it'll be worth it in my opinion. When you could instead just get the blessings or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know.
Did we actually talk about the points and stuff that you can do now in the update in Tithe Farm?
Oh, no.
3 points
I don't actually understand how it's different because I never really paid attention to how you acquired points. I was just like, oh, hey, I have enough points for a thing now. So I don't really know how it's different.
The way it used to work is like the first like 80 points or whatever, or 80 seeds just didn't count for points. And it was only like the last 20 that would give you points. But now, every 3 plants that you turn in give you 1 point. And every 100 plants that you turn in give you an additional 2 points. And you can also, instead of being capped at only bringing in the 100 you're given at first, you can bring 10,000.
I very much like just... I'm definitely going to be the guy that just like spends a whole day at Tithe Farm.
Yeah.
Because this is another very good podcast activity. It requires a fair bit of attention, which you can make it take less attention.
I'm worried about the clicking.
You can make it take less attention. There's like various... No, I don't mean recording podcasts. I mean watching podcast and
okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I do not want you doing Tithe while we record.
No, I'm not doing Tithe while we record. This is I'm watching a podcast activity. Right now I'm cooking. So I could be one tick caramel cooking. I am cooking caramels right now. I'm sure you'd love that. No, but yeah,
editing.
You can just kind of chill in there for a long time. So
yeah.
Cool.
The big thing with how this works now is you're no longer punished as much for like missing a single plant, because before, if you missed a plant, then that would eat into like the 20 or whatever points you'd get for completing a game. But now if you miss a plant, it's just okay, you just had to wait for your third plant now to get a point instead of, getting it whenever you were going to get it.
I don't know, just don't miss a plant, honestly. Skill issue.
I mean, yeah, don't miss a plant, but it's less punishing now. And you'll get points from the very start. So it's also, you don't have to, like, base, if maybe you get pulled away for a minute, you're not, wasting 3 minutes starting up your first, like, 50 plants. You're just getting points from the very start.
And another thing that I just thought of, because you can bring in, like, 10,000 seeds now, there used to be an issue where if you were doing like some of the methods where you're like close to, if not tick perfect entirely the whole time, you'd end up with like, you'd use like 20 some like interval of seeds that you'd end up with like a few seeds at the very end. You'd end up with like 4 or 8 seeds at the very end. So you just kind of have to like sit around and wait for those last ones to grow so you could get like the bonus for having all of them. But now, since you can just bring in a bazillion seeds, you don't have to do that anymore, which is very nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, also solo only instanced. People can't grief you anymore. Very important in my opinion, because it was really annoying to like, you used to have to hop worlds to find a Tithe Farm world, especially if you're like me and you use up over half the area. So you have to find a solo world.
Because it was already instanced. It's just you weren't guaranteed to be by yourself.
So weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I'm planning on doing some Tithe Farm in the future anyway, so this just gives me a reason to look forward to doing that.
Yeah. It was already like fine enough content, and now it's like probably good content. So.
Also, now demonic gorillas make a noise whenever they swap styles.
Yeah, this one, I just got a Black Demon's task. I'm going to go try this one out at some point. From what I understand, they make a different sound effect based on which attack style they're switching to. So there's no longer guessing? ? Yeah, because it says, say goodbye to the frustration of guessing when when the tortured demonic gorillas change attack style. So I guess it probably still doesn't tell you which style it's switching to.
I don't know. I haven't killed demonic gorillas in a while, so I don't really remember how they work, to be entirely honest.
The only way to know which style they were switching to, you could only ever tell if they were switching from a ranged style to a different ranged style, so either ranged to mage, or a ranged style to melee if you were standing one tile away from them, Because if they were in a ranged style and switched to a different range, if they switched from range to mage, for example, and you're standing away from them, they wouldn't have moved. And if you know that they were going to switch based on, they didn't hit you 3 times, I think it is, then you're like, okay, they have changed styles. Or if they move towards you, because they're switched to melee now, you'd be like, okay, they changed styles. But once they move towards you that first time and they've switched to melee, now you don't know which ranged style they've switched to. You don't know if they switched to range or mage. So you just have to guess and hope you win the 50-50.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it, but it also requires you to make sure that you are standing 1 tile away from them, 1 or more tiles away from them, while they are switching. So if you're using a melee weapon, if you're using Arclight, you have to step back when they're about to switch, for example, to see if they switch to melee. Yeah, that sounds
obnoxious.
It's a little obnoxious.
Yeah.
If they didn't change that out, that's fine. That you take damage at the enemy, whatever. But it would have been kind of cool if they made it so that you never had to guess ever. But I kind of doubt that that's the case. I wasn't entirely sure.
Not having to guess. Humlift.
You cannot guess even more. Because this boss was already so predictable, and I don't understand why this was pulled.
There was already a sound cue. It's just very quiet. But now there's a louder sound cue, and it's different depending on which style he's switching to.
I genuinely just don't understand why this is in the game. They keep making, I
don't get it.
They keep making Corrupted Gauntlet easier, and easier is in massive air quotes. They keep adding these changes that are, supposed to make it easier that, in my opinion, are nothing burgers. They added the tick-eat fish that, in my opinion, are just not worth having. Just why even bother wasting the time to make those? I don't understand. You put less HP in your inventory for this fight of attrition so that you can heal more at once.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And then now they're adding this
content, so
I'm not against making it. I am against making it easier. It's supposed to be a hard piece of content. Get good. I don't know. This one isn't even them making it easier. This one just seemed pointless to me because he already made a noise and an animation when he switched styles. But now he just makes a more different sound and animation. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Whatever.
I guess.
It's not going to hurt me, but it just confused me,
You know what else won't hurt you? Scaly blue dragon hides.
They probably will hurt me because I'll fight blue dragons to get them, and most likely I'll take some damage.
That's true. Do you think you'll do Vorkath for them?
Right now, absolutely not. I hate Vorkath. If I had Lance or DHCV, maybe, but my best ranged weapon is Bofa, and I can't make super anti-fires. And even if I could, I probably wouldn't.
Well, now if you kill these bosses, they'll have a
singular boss.
Or not bosses. If you kill any form of blue dragon, they'll have a chance to drop a scaly blue dragon hide, which you can use a knife on, and you'll get, I believe, 100 blue dragon skills.
50 or 100, something like that.
Something like that. But it's 1 in 10 from Vorkath and goes to 1 in 100 if you're killing baby blue dragons.
It mildly amusing that they couldn't be bothered to tell you how they work in here. And they're just like,
yeah, they just tell you to
just go look at the other blog, even though it would take literally 1 sentence to explain how these work.
Yeah. Someone in my clan in the Discord was like, hey, I can't find any information on this. Can you guys help me? And someone had to pull up the blog and show them where it was.
Yeah, it's very confusing, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, any big fans of random notifications in your entire clan every time you complete a raid? Anyone like that?
I missed that. I wish it was back.
Did you know that I just got 15,000 pure essence from Chambers of Xeric? I bet you wanted to know that.
It was so good. I loved it. When we were doing 6 or 7 man, TOAs, with all clan members, and suddenly the clan was just spammed with our loot.
You sound like Carter asking me perpetually to turn level up notifications for every level back on.
I mean, let the boys know that you're raiding, but
yeah, they'll get to know when I get a goddamn purple. So never.
That's fair. That's also fair.
Anyways, they made changes to the C++ client again, guys. They
Whoa.
updated the loot tracker. They made it so that you can show the alchemy value of ground items and not just the GE value, which is a toggle in the settings. Very cool, very epic. The pest control coins and commendation points are now tracked by the loot tracker. Very interesting. Chaos Ellie Pet, Barbarian Assault gambling rewards, logs from Bruma roots, and herbs from sprouting roots, both in Wintertodt, are now tracked by the loot tracker. Very interesting.
Wow. Why was the Chaos Ellie Pet not
I don't know.
tracked?
It's
a weird one not to track.
It's a very specific, weird thing that didn't track. I find it amusing that their version of the loot tracker tracks everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can just hide it, so it's whatever, but it's amusing to me that
like
every time you cut a Bruma
roots?
every time you cut a Bruma root or pick an herb in Wintertodt, you get to have it tracked.
I mean, I guess that's interesting. Like, I don't know.
I like data, so
yeah,
it's interesting to me.
But it's like weird that they made that choice.
Yeah, it's kind of a whatever change. And then they also fixed the XP tracker. The setting to toggle it on or off was just gone.
Keep in mind, this is for C++ client, so will affect the majority of players. But you wanted to talk about the world switcher stuff?
Oh yeah,
I believe.
So it's kind of a cool change. Basically, they're adding some more symbols. So if you go to the world switcher right now, next to the worlds, there'll be a star, right? And it'll be either gold if it's a member's world, silver if it's a non-member's world, and then I think in the in-game world switcher, I can check right now. Yeah, like Deadman worlds are red stars that are not filled, and I think PvP worlds are filled red stars. Yeah, filled red stars, and then speedrunning worlds are blue ones that are also filled. They're going to be adding some more symbols and some more colors. If you on the login screen, if you go to the world switcher, it is a completely different interface to the in-game one. There's like there's little borders around the worlds, and those are also getting some different colors and fills. Basically, we're still going to have the silver and gold star border and worlds for normal, free-to-play, and members worlds. PvP worlds are getting silver and gold skulls instead of stars, and then their border will be red. Similarly, Deadman worlds will be the same, but they'll have less fill in the center of them. They'll just be red border, kind of like the way that the stars work in the game right now. And then they're getting into the more specific ones. So like tournament worlds that have been used in the past for like various testing or events.
Hanani's event.
Yeah, Hanani's event, for example. Those are getting a little floppy disk icon with a cross through it, indicating that they are not main game save worlds. They don't get saved at all. Once again, silver and gold variants for non-members and members. There are going to be green worlds with a little trophy that has an L on it for leagues. Interestingly, they are showing that there is both a non-members and members color variant of the... No, there is. They're both there.
I think that represents something else, right?
I don't think so.
Tournament beta worlds or special event worlds, I think is the difference.
No. That's the purple one with the actual beta symbol.
No, I don't know that.
And once again, the beta worlds have a silver and gold variant for non-members and members, which is confusing to me because there are no non-members versions of beta worlds and leagues worlds as of right now. I guess it's just kind of formality in case they ever do it in the future, I guess. The one thing that I find very interesting, also speedrunning worlds have a little timer, silver and gold with a blue background. And then there is a special indicator that they have created for fresh start worlds.
Which are done. They're over.
There's no fucking way these motherfuckers plan to bring back fresh start worlds.
Just wait. December 2023, we're getting a fresh start world announcement.
If they start doing
October,
this shit
and it's coming out December
every year, I don't know what they expect.
Yeah.
That was a one-time thing that you could do maybe every couple of years, and maybe it would work. But if your plan is to do it every year, you're going to see insanely diminishing returns on that. Because there's nothing different about it. Like leagues, you can pull in, more players, the same amount of players every year, because there is something wildly different happening in every league. Fresh Start Worlds are nothing. They're the game.
I think I've been on record saying that, like, I think that Fresh Start Worlds was just a way to, and this isn't a controversial or uncommon opinion, that Fresh Start Worlds was just there to appease investors and say, hey, look at all the growth we had at the end of the quarter.
100%. Which is why I don't doubt that it's coming back, but I don't know what they expect. It's going to be diminishing returns. They're going to be disappointed. I don't know why they would do this. Just genuinely blows my mind, the things that the like investor type higher ups think will work. So out of touch. Blows my mind.
Yeah, I hope they're not coming back, but I don't doubt that they will.
Like, it doesn't do anything to me, right? I don't care. I'm not going to play on them, and the fact that they exist doesn't affect me. It just seems dumb, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just weird. But overall, the new icons and the change to the world switcher, it's cool. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, most players aren't going to interact with them
cooler.
for the most part.
You know? Yeah. I'm fine with that. I'm excited for leagues to come back. That's the one thing that this reminded me of. I was like, oh boy, we might actually get a league this year.
Maybe not be burnt out at the start of the leagues. Maybe.
I'm excited to absolutely burn the fuck out after the league ends, because I always do.
I always burn out just before leagues. I tried playing during the last leagues, and it did not help with me burning out, so I just ended up not playing anyways.
I go insano mode every league, dude. I've Leagues 2 Trailblazer. I almost maxed, but I think I got really busy towards the end of the league, so I wasn't able to max and like do a bunch of stuff. But Shattered Relics, I went insano mode. I maxed. I got very, very close to Dragon Tier. I was gaming, and I think if I have the time, this upcoming league, I would like to try and get a Dragon Cup. I think that'd be sick. But
I probably won't be able to game that hard.
That requires insano mode gaming. So we'll see if I go that insano mode. I want to at least get Rune. I want to continue my streak of getting the Rune Cups because I'm a gamer. But we'll see. Very excited to see what ideas they have. But information about that will probably not be coming anytime soon. But this little teaser of the different world types has just reminded me that Leagues exists, and it excites me.
Almost as exciting as the new blog for sailing, where they showed off some mechanics. There is a whole bunch of information in this blog. I'm going to link it in the description of the podcast. I highly recommend looking at it. There's also a video where they showed off a tech demo that was worked on during the game jam.
Yes. Some cool stuff.
Yeah, some really cool stuff. I don't think we're going to go through everything like super in depth just because of some time limitations. But I think we can talk like broad points, like especially things that we find were really interesting that were in here.
Yeah. Honestly, I watched the full live stream where they announced all this stuff. I've read through this whole blog. If you want the overview of what's going on here, at the very top of the blog post from the 16th of May 2023, adding a new skill, sailing navigation mechanics. At the very top ish, there is a set of infographics made by Gentle Tractor. Shout out Gentle Tractor. You can just look at those. That has the core of what's going on. Just look at and read those. They're pretty. They condense it down into a digestible format. And watch the tech demo. That's all you need.
You might not realize it because I just noticed it. There's arrows on the side to click.
Yep, I knew that.
To like go through the pictures.
It's a slideshow.
I did not notice that until now.
You can just look at all of them. Yeah, if you just want to know what's going on, watch the tech demo and look at the 8 basically slides that they made about sailing, and you'll get everything. There's a little more detail through the entirety of the blog post, but for the most part, you'll get everything from looking at these and watching the tech demo. So,
yeah.
You can also listen to us talk about it right now.
Whoa. Yeah, so the first thing is they talk about movement mechanics and how right off the bat they scrapped the idea of WASD-based movement.
Thank God. Just wouldn't have felt right, man.
It would have been really weird and not RuneScape. RuneScape is my point-and-click game. It is not my WASD game, okay?
Admittedly, I still put my hands on the WASD area because I've made my camera movement WASD, and I have like my F keys rebound to a bunch of the buttons near WASD. So I still put my hand there when I'm doing like content, but I don't want to press WASD to move. What the hell?
Yeah. They also wrote off minigame or quest style movement, such as Cabin Fever and Bon Voyage.
Yeah, interface style.
Yeah, they thought that would have been not super fun to train from 1 to 99 for a couple hundred hours.
Yeah, and I think this is a little deceiving, because I imagine there will be like a small mix of some interfaces, because later in the blog they described that, you know, in order to keep the ship going to the place that you have clicked on, you'll need to like manage, you know, your sails and your rudder or whatever parts of your ship that you have.
I imagine that'll be diegetic in the on the ship. There won't be interfaces you have to interact with.
I don't know. We'll see. For some of the stuff, I kind of doubt that there won't be some interfaces, but a lot of it will probably be in the actual game. So whatever they come up with, though, I think that they are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm excited. They showed off a video, like a tech demo of how they want the movement to work, and your player will independently move on the ship, and if you click off the ship, then your boat will move instead. It's very cool. Highly recommend watching it. They show it off as a funny little scene at the end.
Yeah, and then the one thing that I want to talk about, because this was engine work that they had the engine team work on this, where basically they describe it a little bit. Basically, I think they described this in the actual stream, but I can't remember his name. Whichever mod it was that was on that stream, that was on the engine team. He was talking about how basically what they've done is they've made it so that there is, kind of similarly to the way a couple of other instances work in old school, there's another area in the world where a boat is, right? And they have lovingly referred to this as the boat dimension, which I find hilarious. And basically what they've done is they've made tech so that instead of like being instance and going over there and now you're in a boat instance, instead, while things are still occurring over there on this like isolated portion, it is being rendered in the main world. So it looks like it's completely seamless. However, this allows them to like anchor you to the ship, and it doesn't feel like weird and janky. Because you are in your player is technically in this instance where the ship is. However, it is being rendered to another part of the world, which I think is very interesting. And more than likely believe,
the grid to be different sizes.
Yeah, it allows the grid to be different sizes, and we'll probably see this tech used somewhere else in the game eventually. Which is very cool. They were talking about, I doubt this would happen anytime soon, but they were talking about like one theoretical idea they could have is like you could be on a dragon fighting a boss like on a dragon, and the dragon was like flying around Gielinor, and you could see like all the scenery below because you were being like force rendered into that area. Some cool ideas. I'm sure we'll see some interesting stuff done with this tech. As someone who has done engine work on various small student projects before, I always get really excited about the very game agnostic systems work that is done. So I was very interested to hear what he had to say about the engine work that they were doing. My nerd emoji glasses were definitely on. I was very excited about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like cool stuff they can do with the tech that they develop for sailing. Because even if sailing ends up not being super interesting in what we want, even if we vote no to it, there'll still be a lot of engine work that's been done that can then be used for like other parts of the game.
Yeah, and as a side note, I don't know if this is going to pass, man.
You don't think so?
I just find it difficult to believe that they're going to be able to unite enough of the community to vote yes on this, that it'll pass. I want it to. I really do. But there's a lot of negative Nancys out there, you know? And I worry that we're going to get stuck in an infinite loop of them refining skills and them just inevitably getting like really close to passing, but just not passing. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope that sailing is just going to pass, because so far what we've seen is very good, but I just don't know, man. I'm worried.
Yeah, I've heard some like stirrings from people that I've been playing with in raids and stuff of them worried about like what sailing is looking like. But I don't know, the blog had me concerned a bit. But later on reading it, I am convinced that they're aware of like the issues it might have, and they're working towards like making it an interesting and enjoyable experience for everyone.
Yeah, and I think
and having a variety of ways you can train it, so it's not just, you know, one boring method that you're doing all the way to 99.
I think that as we continue forward in the process, like right now, this blog, they don't want to pull a awarding, right? This blog is just like one of the pieces of the puzzle. They're trying not to dump the entire skill on us all at once like they did with warding, because you get too many people that would read like part of it or none of it and just be like, this is stupid. And warding was not a perfect skill pitch, mind you, but I think a large part of why warding was so confusing and convoluted is because they pitched it so many times and they did all of that all at once, just constantly. So much information all at once. And so I think it's very clear that they've learned from that, and they're kind of going through it piece by piece so that over time people can have a full idea of what the skill is supposed to be. And so as we continue moving, as we get more towards how you will actually train the skill, what you will actually be doing with these mechanics, and then also what the reward space is, I hope that more and more people will be convinced. Because right now, this is just how the mechanics will work, right? We don't have any idea of what we'll be doing with these mechanics, how we'll be gaining XP, what we'll be getting out of this. This is just core functionality.
Yeah, that's going to be in the next part.
Yes.
The next part is where we're getting the core gameplay loop, and then we're getting the rewards after that.
And then I think after that there's like a lore implementation, like a kind of how it fits into the world. Lore. And then I think there's another step.
No, just those three.
Okay. But yeah. So
yeah,
I think they probably have the right idea of kind of giving us bits and pieces of the information as we go. And I think they have correctly prioritized what order these are in, because for me, this is all I needed to see. I needed to see that the sailing mechanics, the being able to be on a boat, clicking it around, and also clicking on the boat. Like I think it was Mod Aiza was talking about this is, he didn't know if it was going to be possible, but this is what he would have wanted it to be exactly. He was ready to make compromises, but this was like his perfect vision of the mechanics of sailing. And he's very happy. If you told me in like 2007, hey, they added sailing to the game, this is exactly what I would imagine it would look like. You know? Yeah, it feels very old school. The point and click very much helps with that. And I know a lot of people, they address this as well, have been concerned about like the way the size of the ships compared to the size of the world looks. And in my opinion, that is just so old school. This big like galleon next to like a mountain that's like the same size, and it's just completely not sized correctly at all. That is just the way old school looks.
Yeah, nothing in this game is scaled correctly, and it's so funny.
It's beautiful. It really is part of the charm of the game, in my opinion. So I'm very excited.
They address the scale stuff.
They do.
Later on,
and they say pretty much the same thing.
Like they could spend weeks and weeks to like remove, or not remove, but to move, Crandor so it's not right next to Brimhaven, and so Remington isn't right next to Karamja, and so Tutorial Island isn't off the coast of Tempros or Lumbridge, but that wouldn't be worth their time, so instead they're breaking up ships into 3 sizes, and depending on the size of your ship will determine what part of the sea you can go to.
And I kind of anticipate that some of the elements of the sea will be moved around. Like, for example, Ape Atoll is kind of like out there.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think that for those pieces that have like nothing else out there that they could just move really easily, I kind of anticipate that they might move a few of those. Like they specifically outed Fossil Island. They said I think they specifically outed Fossil Island that they might move that around a bit. Because it's just kind of up there in the corner and there's really no consequence to moving it a little bit further away, for example. So I kind of anticipate that they'll do a little bit, but I doubt it will be very drastic. I doubt it'll be a whole lot. And it'll mostly be the elements of the ocean that are already basically invisible from anywhere on land. Like, I don't anticipate they'd move Karamja or Crandor. You can see those from other locations, and it's kind of iconic to be able to do so. But
so they mentioned like specifically with Crandor, if you haven't done Dragon Slayer 1,
fog walls or Elvarg will attack you.
Yeah, like some way to prevent you from going to areas that are quest locked or locked via some other means.
Yeah. The one thing I am very interested in is Lunar Isle, because getting to Lunar Isle and like sailing to Lunar Isle is a part of the quest, right? And there's like the part of the quest where you're like trying to get the curse or the hex or the whatever it is off of the ship. And if you haven't gotten rid of it and you say, all right, we're ready to sail, there's like the little in-game thing where it shows you, oh, you went over to Lunar Isle and then you just went in a circle back to the port. I want them to make it so that if you try and go to Lunar Isle, your ship just gets like turned around.
Yeah, just have some sort of like, how there's the games that have like non-Euclidean geometry like you go around a corner and you're like in the same place again.
Mm-hmm.
Just have that, but sailing somehow. Like, it would probably be not possible with the current engine, but
I'd love to see it.
It'd be so funny if they did that. Yeah. But yeah, no. There's different ships sizes. You have your small, medium, and large, and they have different speeds as well as how fast they can turn. There's a really cool demo that they show. Not demo, but example that someone on Reddit had made.
Yeah, they showed this in the live stream, yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I would want turning to work. And so it's pretty cool that like that's what they're showing off.
Yeah, the one thing I'm very interested in the different types of ships is twofold. I very much like the way that they laid out, like, okay, well, small ships are very good in shallow waters, right? And then they're acceptable in like kind of mid deep water,
open sea.
Yeah, open sea. And then large ships are great in open sea, and okay in deep seas. And then colossal ships are great in deep seas and okay in open seas. So there's like this kind of tiering system where you can use them in the various places. But it's like more encouraged for you to use X type of ship.
So colossal ships can't go in shallow, and the small ships can't go in deep.
But I think it might have just been them talking about ideas. But I know for colossal ships, they were talking about the idea of you could have a small ship attached to a colossal ship. So you could like...
like a tugboat?
Sort of, yeah. So like if you were going towards like, the more shallow waters towards like islands, you could like drop off your little tiny ship and then like sail out to the islands.
Like a dinghy.
Yeah. So I imagine you will probably be able to use small boats in like deep seas, for example, but it will probably just be awful. Just completely terrible.
Well, in the blog, they say small ships, however, can't sail here. It's too dangerous. or sail here at all.
Yeah, well,
so.
I don't think that this should be treated as final information, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's all kind of ideation right now. And that was like that's immediately like something to point out, right? Is they talked about having like the small ships attached to colossal ships and them being able to go from deep sea to shallow sea because they're small on the live stream, but they talked about how small ships can't be used in deep sea in this. So there is some conflicting information because they're still figuring out what exactly they want, right? This isn't final information that they're posting. This is just kind of where they're at the moment. And they're still doing like the Discord feedback and all this. So, fun stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't like things, voice your opinion somehow. I believe in you.
Yep, there's the Discord. They also have surveys constantly. So, make sure you drop feedback somewhere that they.
I know Mod Husky looks at
just...
Reddit because he always trashes on Reddit opinions on live streams.
Yeah.
So,
it's my favorite.
If you want to contact Mod Husky, just make a really terrible Reddit post and he will see it.
So there's also some more stuff in this blog about sailing to the edge of the map.
I like this idea.
Yeah, so they talk about because there's like a finite edge to the map, they could just, basically teleport you to the other side and have an infinite sea sort of effect going on.
No, that's...
But they're...
Did they say that one? I don't think I read that. What I read was basically they'd have generative sea, where if you sailed to the edge of the map, there would just be random BS that you couldn't go to, and eventually you would just like, in some way, whether it be like you take damage or your ship starts getting damaged or there's like winds or something, in some way you'll be encouraged to turn around, kind of like Activision turn back barriers at the edge of the map.
Okay, yeah. I see. They're talking about more of the Sea of Thieves style. Yeah. Hit the edge of the map and you start eating shit for no reason.
Yeah, and they're just saying they would have a little bit. They would have a little bit of scenery there, so it wouldn't seem like there's just a go to the edge of the desert back in the day and there's just a black void wall.
Maybe I saw like a Reddit suggestion or something. That's why I thought that section talked about that.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
I like my idea more.
I don't like that because I don't want to go to the northern end of the map. Let's say I'm sailing from and appear. Oh, look, here's Ape Atoll, because then wow, the planet I'm on is fucking tiny. Hello.
That's true. Also, like, there's Varlamore that you can't see, and there's like the Eastern lands that don't exist.
That would theoretically limit their ability to expand the map because now it's theoretically a sphere that's this small.
That's true. That's fair.
Wouldn't really matter. They could just expand the map anyways, because who cares? It's a video game, but still. It would just be weird to me.
Couple of rapid fire things. Collision. They don't want you to collide with other players, except maybe in ship-based PvP. So their idea is that you don't physically show up. You show up as like a shadow if you clip with another person's boat.
They appear as a shadow to you, and you appear as a shadow to them.
Yeah,
Your boat will always be visible. Other people's boats will become shadows underneath you, so you know that they are still there, but you are sailing / air quotes walking over them, to put it in kind of a comparison to what we have now.
They suggested some stuff with like weather, with winds and currents. I didn't really read this too in depth. I'm going to be honest.
That part is very very high level stuff where they're just like, there can be weather and currents, and it can affect sailing while you are sailing, and it might require you to do certain things so that the place you clicked on is actually the place you go. No real specifics there. So, sure.
And then there's an FAQ section where they talk about, like, hey, here are people's concerns that they have. So there's, like, increased draw distance, and they talk about that they can do this, probably. And they probably will because they do it in the C++ client, and they do it in the RuneLite. And it'll probably need to be increased because for bigger ships especially, it kind of looks weird when your ship basically hits either edge of your render distance.
I wouldn't be surprised if sailing is what phases out the original Java client.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
And that's fine at this point. C++ client has made great advances. There is
as long
literally
as, like,
no
Runelite
reason.
can exist still.
There is literally no reason for vanilla Java client to be a thing that you can have. Right?
Yeah.
It can be on the back end just so that Runelite can continue to exist on top of it. But I don't even know if there is a way to currently just have vanilla Java client anymore. Is there?
You can. Yeah. You can still download it.
Download old school. Download for Windows. Okay, yeah, this.
They also
No,
talk
this
about,
gives you
like,
Jagex launcher.
Yeah, you can play it through the Jagex launcher, I'm pretty sure.
Nope, that gives you C++ client.
Oh, I don't know then.
Your only options are official client and Runelite.
Well, I still have the original client downloaded, so I could theoretically play it, but...
Why would you?
Yeah, why would you? They talk about adding a skybox, kind of like how Runelite has, so it's not just a black void. Look pretty nice.
Yeah. I'd like to see official skybox support, because Runelite's is very good, but there are some places where the skybox hasn't been, like, specifically tweaked, for example, and it's just like
so it looks a
weird color. I'd love to see official skybox support, because it looks very nice in the places where it is actually been tweaked to look nice. So,
yeah. They talk about, like, lag. That was one of my concerns when I saw how big the boat was and, like, players moving around on top of it and NPCs on top of it. I was like, oh no, this looks like it might lag terribly. But they say that with engine work and with improvements to the servers, they don't think this will be a problem.
Yeah,
so,
and
cool.
As someone who understands a little bit more than the average person of what's going on in the back end of RuneScape, yeah, I don't think it'll be that much of an issue.
Yeah, that was definitely one of, like, my big concerns when I saw the video yesterday or the day before. I was just like, oh no, this looks like this will be a horrible laggy mess if you're just sailing past, like, you know, Draenor Village.
Think of it this way, right? You're not rendering a whole lot more, right? So the FPS problem isn't that bad. And the ships existing is basically just another player, right? Because it is being rendered somewhere else in the world.
Yeah,
and is moving around on its own.
GE when, like, a big streamer's there, it gets pretty laggy.
Yeah, but you're not going to have that many fucking boats. Unless you are doing a big streamer thing, at which it is going to lag as expected. Because that's what it would do when you have that many players. Because essentially, an instance of a boat is going to require probably only a few more resources than the instance of a player, as far as server communication is concerned.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up being, but hopefully it's not too bad.
I don't think it'll be a problem, unless, like I said, you are a big streamer and you're, like, having everybody deploy a boat at the same port, at which point, what did you expect?
I imagine it'll be pretty laggy day of release.
Probably. But, again, what did you expect?
Anyways, they also talk about group content
based
at points in the blog. And I like the idea of group content, but being forced to do it for, like, the best XP methods is kind of not great.
I don't care, personally. I think you should be forced to be in a group for the best XP rates.
Trying to get people together for Volcanic Mine has opened my eyes to how hard it is to get a group in this game.
Have friends.
I do have friends, but it can be difficult. So they propose having NPCs that can help you as part of your crew.
Yeah, and that just makes sense, right? You know, you should be able to hire NPCs as part of the crew. That sounds like a fun part of the gameplay. So
if I can't hire Thurgo to be on my ship, I'm gonna be pissed.
You're probably gonna be pissed. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'm gonna be pissed. I want Thurgo's thick ass on my ship, okay? Anyways, also maybe PvP?
Yeah, it's a big maybe. Something else I probably wouldn't participate in, because it sounds like it'd be really jank, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I'm just thinking of, like, there's, like, a Disney MMO game that I used to play, and there was like a Pirates of the Caribbean like mini game, and it was really jank but kind of fun. And that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind
like,
it.
There's probably
PvP...
like 3 people listening that are like, yeah, I know exactly what Sparry's talking about. I loved that as a kid.
I played the actual Pirates of the Caribbean online game. I don't remember what it was called. It might have just been called Pirates of the Caribbean Online. I don't remember. I don't... It might have had ship combat. I don't even remember. I'll be real.
Yeah. I played like a little bit of that, but I didn't really like it.
Yeah,
I went back to the Disney online thing.
I did not play whatever this Disney online BS is, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally am of the opinion that I don't think ship...
It was called Virtual Magic Kingdom, for those of you wondering.
I don't think ship PvP should be a priority. If that releases after the launch of the initial skill, I'm fine with that. I am completely open to them exploring that idea, but I don't think it's integral to the skill. As such, I don't necessarily believe it should be available on launch. But if other people have different priorities, that's okay.
Anyways, that's about it for that blog, and I think that just does about it for this podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you follow it on whatever podcast app you're listening to it on, or maybe on YouTube if it's up there.
Yeah, we'll see. I am currently very behind on the YouTube edits.
Yeah.
I have been very addicted to just playing the video game. And so I have just been doing that. And the YouTube edits, while they have pulled in some views, are not, like, I think, super important to the growth. And they were kind of, as Sparry has said before, they're kind of an afterthought. They were just like a thing that I was doing as basically a passion project. So if you really want to see those, complain to me, I guess. I don't know. Good luck doing that.
I mean, you can always upload the raw audio to YouTube.
I could
just give it a background.
The problem is, right, I have set a standard for myself, and I want to continue to meet that standard. And it's not like ridiculous, right? It's like maybe 10 hours of work, which is, I think, a reasonable amount of effort to put in. It's like a whole work day. That's fine. I don't know. I will continue to do it. You will probably, maybe by the time this is even up, you will probably have seen me upload multiple episodes of the podcast, like not back to back, but I anticipate with the way I end up working a lot of the time, I'll like upload one because I'll smash it out in a day, and then I'll take a break the next day, and then I'll smash out the next one. Every other day you'll end up with the old podcast episodes releasing. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm honestly a little excited to go back and remember what we talked about.
Yeah, because you're 4 episodes behind now with the recording
I have
this one?
uploaded episode 2, and I have not even started episode 3 at all. So
yeah, so you'll be doing 4 episodes, possibly back to back to back to back,
which I'm fine with. I don't really mind.
But yeah, no, if you want to keep updated on when those go live, you can follow Guthix Rest on Twitter at GuthixRestPod. You can also follow us on YouTube at Guthix Rest.
Subscribe,
Pod
hit the like button,
well? Or is it just at Guthix Rest?
It's at Guthix Rest. I managed to secure that one.
Okay.
Let me double check, but I'm like 99% sure.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/GuthixRest, where you can get the uncensored audio, sometimes a day or more early compared to the rest of the show. Sometimes it's uploaded mere hours before, but we don't talk about that. You can also give us a one-time donation at Ko-fi, or Ko-fi, however you decide to pronounce that. I will never know. At kofi.com/GuthixRest. And finally, we now have a Discord. The Discord link will be in the description, but we'll post in there sometimes and hang out maybe. Who knows?
Let me make one thing very clear. I will not be moderating that Discord. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, that'll just be me. That was a me decision not my problem. To make this. I didn't even talk to Bird. I just made it and sent him an invite.
I haven't even joined it yet. I'll probably do that right now or something.
Yeah, I sent him it last night, and he just never joined.
Like I said, I think I was in a raid or something, and I like opened it on Discord like between rooms or something. I was like, "Oh, cool," and then just went back to raiding, and forgot that I cleared that notification. So,
but yeah, I have it set to like automatically post whenever we put an episode on the RSS feed.
Oh, neat.
So if you want to like know right when an episode comes out, that's the best place to go for that. Because usually the Twitter is a little slow, and your podcast app might be a little slow, so you can get it directly via the RSS feed right there.
Epic.
Once Bird starts posting to YouTube, I'll set up a automation for posting the YouTube videos as well.
Wow. Just hit the bell icon if you really want the notifications.
That's true. And I think that just does about it. I said that weird twice in a row, and I don't know why.
Wow.
Brain no work. Anyways, thank you all for listening. And can we get a bird fact before we leave?
Yeah. I tell this one a lot, so to those of you that speak to me somewhat frequently, I apologize, but it's always the first one that come to mind because I find it quite interesting. There's these birds called potus. They're very interesting, funky-looking birds. Highly recommend looking up images of them. But they actually have narrow slits in their eyelids that allow them to sense movement even while they are sleeping. So it is very difficult to sneak up on a potu.
They're also just the goofiest looking birds.
They are goofy little guys. They're also very good at cosplaying as a stick.
Yeah.
Very good camouflage.
But that will be it. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye!
Well, bye!